Here is how the Democratic Party abandoned the working class.
Yeah.
Couple of my favorite criticisms from the left. It's like, well, these companies still rely on outsourced labor from the third world. Okay, dude. Sorry that the fucking workers' cooperative in Italy didn't destroy imperialism, like Western imperialism, single-handedly. And then from the right, Minhaj made this more perfect union video, how Democrats abandoned the working class with more perfect unions, John Russell, and a lot of people got mad at him.
I'm not talking about Subaru moderates, granola NPR whites, or Cupertino lizard people. I'm talking about the working class.
The working class.
The working class.
In the working class neighborhoods, I represent
regular working class folks.
What has he done for the working class?
So who are the working class, and why are Democrats so thirsty?
I think one of the worst. Okay, here's another controversial hot take that's going to piss off a lot of people. I think one of the most annoying aspects of Woke One or 2016, you know, the weaponization of hollowed out identity politics, non-intersectional identity politics, because it didn't feature class, was this notion that people would always say, oh, when you say the working class, you mean the white working class, sweetie. I hated that shit so much. Maybe people are going to get frustrated at hearing me say this, but there were certainly some people who were doing that, okay? But the reality of the matter is, it doesn't matter how people were weaponizing that statement, okay? What matters is what it actually means. Because the American working class is just like America. It's very diverse. And some people, unironically, sincerely believe when they said working class, they meant white work, 55,000 coal miners that remain in this country. Okay? But I hate it when people leaned into that idea that, like, you shouldn't say working class because what you mean is white working class. Okay. Black people are a part of the working class too. Who cares? Trans people are part of the working class too. I hate the like anti-IDPOL people. I'm such a centrist on this stuff because I also hated the anti-identitarian people, like the folks who would say like, trans issues are not relevant to the working class. It's like, no, they still are, because trans people are a part of the working class.
To prove that they are the true party of working class Americans. Now, some terms show up in political discourse gradually, like neoliberalism or polyamory. But working class had a very specific moment it entered the mainstream. 1:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on November 9th, 2016.
Some big news here, Megan. Huge news, actually.
Huge.
The AP now projecting that Donald Trump has won the state of Pennsylvania.
That is the race, frankly.
It's been almost 10 years since Trump broke through the blue wall, winning Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. And liberals suddenly remembered that everyone can vote, and it's not just a Capital One rewards perk. For months, the media fanned out across rural America to study working class Trump voters like gorillas in captivity. Or like small business owner want banana? Me, Soledad O'Brien. Me, friend. Reading Hillbilly Elegy became doing the work. That book actually shot back to #1 a week after Trump's inauguration. Liberal guilt made J.D. Vance.
God, liberals love when chuds are like, I'm the real white working class whisperer. Look at me. Oh, it's literally catnip. Like, MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC, is responsible for J.D. Vance's career. And it still works. And it kind of works on the left, too. Let's be real. I mean, look at Graham Plattner. We have to figure out a way to harness that. We have to figure out a way to harness that excitement around people that look a certain way. You know what I mean? Because, like, the aesthetics and the optics, they work. Isn't Peter Thiel more responsible? Yes, of course Peter Thiel is more responsible, but it's just like there are so many MSNBC watchers out there who see someone with the aesthetics and go, "Oh my God, I love this person. This person is the best." I mean, yeah, John Fetterman was another example of this too.
And so famous that depending on how bad Qatari engineering is, this guy might be president soon.
The man and woman who raised me, Mamaw and Papaw, said, we're for Democrats because Democrats are for working people.
I don't think that's true anymore, my friends.
Now, grifter Huckleberry Finn is getting at something very real here. Since 2016, there's been a lot of debate around what the working class even means. But it used to be very simple. Working class people got a paycheck. They had a boss, they were probably in a union, and they almost definitely voted Democrat. Ever since FDR and the New Deal back in the 1930s, workers were a core part of Democrats' identity as a party. In 1935, FDR signed the Wagner Act, which guaranteed workers the right to collective bargaining. Republicans at the time tried to smear it as
First implemented in the People's Republic of Wisconsin. For those of you who don't know, Wisconsin is radical, and it still has that revolutionary history, and it absolutely still has that revolutionary potential. I am not giving up on Wisconsin, even though Data Center Dave Crowley won the primary, okay, by an ass hair.
socialist. But Dems didn't give up. They passed Social Security later that year and were like, yeah, Social Security, social. We put it right in the name, bro. Come at us. In 1938, Democrats created the minimum wage in the 40-hour work week. And in 1965, they started Medicare.
They're calling them David Centers in Wisconsin.
This was a party unafraid to fight on the side of workers and against capital. And it made states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, which were built on manufacturing and agriculture, Democratic strongholds, places that Democrats could count on, maybe even take for granted. I mean, why would Hillary even need to visit Wisconsin? Now, I know what you're thinking. Really? Hasan, you're going to relitigate 2016 all over again? I'll be honest with you. I feel like relitigating 2016 is kind of hack as a concept. So what I'm going to do is relitigate the 1990s. It was Hillary Clinton's husband, jazz icon Bill Clinton, who pushed Democrats towards more business-friendly practices and away from...
Oh, this is so good. Oh, he's cooking. He's cooking. Let's go back to the 90s. Let's talk about NAFTA. Let's talk about third-way neoliberalism. That's where it was invented, by the way. Because if you look at the trend lines in American politics, you have the New Deal era, and Democrats are dominating, right? New Deal liberalism, New Deal Democrats are dominating, and they end up dominating so hard that Republicans have to play ball, okay? They have to play ball all up until Ronald Reagan. Post-Reagan, it's the Republican Party now. It's the Republican show now. And every Democrat and every Republican that came after Ronald Reagan always went along with that same agenda of Reaganomics, destroying the federal government, destroying the regulatory agencies, slowly but surely chipping away at their power, destroying the welfare apparatus, as Bill Clinton did so much of this, by the way. It's crazy. And therefore, destroying the labor unions and what remained, the manufacturing base in the United States of America, and you know, therefore destroying the party's base of support, the Democratic Party's base of support. If you have no labor unions, you have no political participation. Slowly but surely, the labor unions chip away at their power and end up going. The rank and files end up going for whichever party they think is more important, because the culture war is the only thing that people talk about.
Bill Clinton's 1992 platform was silent on antitrust and monopoly power, which had been a party plank for Democrats for over 100 years. And the next year, he signed NAFTA, which enshrined into law that investor rights would get priority over labor rights. This was all happening as inequality was getting worse and leaving the working class behind, which was totally understood at the time by the people inside the Clinton administration. In fact, this is Clinton's labor secretary, Robert Reich, speaking in 1994, just a year after NAFTA was signed.
My friends, we are on the way to becoming a two-tiered society, composed of a few winners and a larger group of Americans left behind, whose anger and whose disillusionment is easily manipulated. Today, the targets of that rage are immigrants and welfare mothers and government officials and gays and an ill-defined counterculture. But as the middle class continues to erode, who will be the targets tomorrow.
Don't worry, Rob, it's still the same people. But Clinton didn't just stop at NAFTA. In 1996, he signed the Welfare Reform Act, ending cash assistance for millions of people in poverty, and then bragged about it in campaign ads.
He signed tough welfare reform, work requirements, time limits, forced teenage mothers to stay in school or...
Yeah. Eisenhower, Republican, expanded Social Security and disability benefits. Nixon created the Supplemental Security Income, made the EPA, and expanded food stamps. The Republican Party was always center right, but Reagan ratcheted the party so far right. No, that's my argument. My argument is all of those Republicans that came after FDR had to play ball with New Deal democracy because it was such a popular force that they were the ones who were on the defense. Reagan switched it, and Democrats became the party that was the defensive party, the party that was at the mercy of Reaganomics, neoliberalism. That's why I say there's different eras in American politics, and we're actually going through one right now.
Lose benefits.
Yeah, Bill, I'm sick of these welfare queens not
How did Reagan switch it? Unbelievably dominant force in American politics. What do you mean? Culture wars, talking about how shifting people's attention away from economic issues to culture war issues, crime, racism, like crack epidemic, destruction of the labor force, destruction of labor unions, the introduction of wedge issues, really leaning into Paul Weyrich and his moral majority movement, evangelical whites in the South.
Finishing The Great Gatsby. Here's what's crazy about that ad. Those aren't even black teenagers. Do you know how Republican you have to be to go after white teen moms? Now, once Bill was done handcuffing the working class, he unleashed the investor class.
Ronald Reagan radicalized all the evangelical Christians with the abortion issue because they didn't really vote. Yeah, and then they became, since the Reagan era, they became the most domineering force with outsized political influence in American politics, the white evangelicals. Well, their initial white evangelicals started voting or started getting mobilized around school choice because they didn't want schools to be desegregated. That's where it first started. But yes, Ronald Reagan mobilizing them around abortion was how they became the force that you know now in the United States of America. Yeah, because like the introduction of white evangelicals as a voter bloc actually predates Ronald Reagan and predates the abortion issue. It actually started off with school desegregation. That was their primary concern. You know how those protests that would take place outside of schools that were desegregating in the South? That was all white evangelicals. That's why I said Paul Weyrich, the moral majority movement. It initially started with anti-black racism. Anti-black racism is foundational for America. It's always been a fundamental driver for a lot of people to make decisions, oftentimes at odds with their immediate material circumstances improving.
Repealing Glass-Steagall and passing the Commodity Futures Modernization Act, which basically turned Wall Street into a giant casino. Now, there's a reason people look back fondly on the 90s. This actually worked for a while. There were budget surpluses, economic growth soared, millions of jobs were created, housing prices went up and up and up. What could possibly go wrong?
Lehman Brothers, a 158-year-old firm, filed for bankruptcy.
The House passes a sprawling $700 billion government rescue of the financial industry.
2.6 million jobs were cut from the economy last year. That's the greatest decline since 1945.
Why weren't we bailed out?
That live grenade of financial deregulation that Bill Clinton left in the economy, it all blew up in 2008, right when I was graduating college. And thanks to the weakened social safety net, further weakened by George Bush, millions of people were pushed into poverty. And by the time Barack Obama came along, things were starting to get a little awkward. Even though anger at Wall Street was spiking, it was still an important source of funding for the Democratic Party. Now, Obama at least gestured towards fighting on behalf of the working class.
But let's be clear who Senator McCain's fighting for. He's not fighting for Joe the plumber. He's fighting for Joe the hedge fund manager.
He was so goated. It's crazy. That's why I always separate Obama the campaigner versus Obama the president are just like two different Obamas, okay? That's also partially why, like, just watch him from 2008, just run the game tape and just copy it, honestly. Fucking take the game tape from 2008 and just copy it. Copy paste it. You will win everywhere, I think. Why do you think he flipped so hard? I mean, I kind of brought this up with Ested. He was up against a mountainous force that was impenetrable. It was an impenetrable fortress. If I were to be as charitable as possible to Barack Obama, I think he knows better. Make no mistake. I think Barack Obama knew better. He knew better about American foreign policy. He tried to chart a different path forward for American foreign policy at times. He got punished endlessly for it. And as far as his ambitions goes, like, it was virtually impossible. He wasn't as much of a diehard ideologue as he needed to be. That's the other thing. I mean, you look at the forces at play with Obama, and now you look at Zoran, right? Like, you think Zoran is not taking out Jessica Tisch and replacing her for no reason? You think it's because he loves Jessica Tisch? Jessica Tisch's family literally spent millions of dollars calling him a fucking terrorist. It's the same shit. Sometimes you can't fight. Now, for us, the environment is different. The material conditions are different now for a figure like this to actually yield a lot of success. I think we memory hold 2008 a little bit and make Obama's campaign to be much more progressive than it was. He always positioned himself as relatively moderate, especially on cultural and tax issues. He was anti-establishment, though. Yeah, I think that is just the American broader attitude in general. He wasn't woke in the way that we understand it in 2026, but he was anti-war. That was huge, right? Like he had all the broad through lines of a populist, left populist candidacy, a left populist movement. That's why he was so popular. That was why he won. He was unique. He was like a unique candidate. Pro-gay marriage when that was a thing? No, he wasn't pro-gay marriage. No, you're wrong. No, he just avoided talking about certain issues. That's bullshit, man. He didn't flip. Obama, the president, is more actual Obama than Obama, the candidate. I was there when it happened. What defines Obama was the transition team he put together after the election and the pivot in his first year to crush Medicare for all. He was not woke for that time. Toby Durden for South Dakota. You are 100% right. The charitable interpretation of that is that the corrupting forces of capitalism were far too powerful for him to deal with. The uncharitable interpretation of that is he was always slated to be this guy and he didn't give a shit. But yeah, I mean, the point I'm trying to make is the reason why I bring this up is because when it came down to foreign policy, which is the most bipartisan, right? This dude literally stuck his neck out for Cuba and stuck his neck out for the JCPOA. Those were two instances that lead me to believe that he had a very different approach to what, like, he had a very different vision to what he wanted to advance. And you know, he tried to do it wherever he could, but ultimately it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all because he was the porter in chief. He was, he couldn't advance healthcare. He couldn't advance healthcare to the public option. Oh, come on. He spent his entire first term claiming that the DADT couldn't be repealed if not for an act of Congress. Then he at the last minute issued an executive order ending DADT when Democratic platform put what? Same-sex marriage on the Dem platform. Then he started advocating for same-sex marriage. He was nothing but a radical centrist, the American Macron, even with all the cheesy alliteration in his speeches. Look, I don't disagree with you guys as far as the Obama criticisms. I mean, he should have been a rabid partisan, for example. This like coalition of Republicans, like bringing Republicans into the fold, being completely captured by corporate interests, Rahm Emanuel. I mean, there were so many goddamn mistakes. And there was also tremendous opportunity there too. Like he could have been he could have been an FDR style figure with the banks. He had the opportunity to do so. There was tremendous appetite for it, you know, but the grand bargain and bringing in the Goldman Sachs guys into his team to like figure out how we rebuild the American economy in favor of the very same bankers and their allies, their close allies that were responsible for this crash was devastating.
But on Obama's watch, no bankers went to jail and inequality kept skyrocketing as union membership continued to fall. And when all that hope he sold didn't come through, it curdled into cynicism. Working class people kept going into the voting booths, pulling the lever, and nothing changed. In fact, a 2014 study of policy outcomes over 20 years found that economic elites have substantial independent impacts on U.S. government policy, while average citizens have little or no independent influence.
Like, there are numerous competing forces here. I think white supremacy obviously is a huge one. Like Barack Obama being black literally broke so many people's brains. Like there are so many unvarnished, hateful people out there that just saw that and were like, a black man is leading this country. He is the son of Baal. He is the son of Satan. Like they lost their damn minds. Okay? 100%. Trump was, in many respects, the perfect cudgel to that, the perfect like revenge fantasy to a black man running the country. Okay? But there were also other failures, I think, that played a big role in this as well. Like the promises squandered, the opportunities squandered, the fact that material conditions did not improve. Like the amount of two-term Obama voters that flipped to Donald Trump means that populist rage that he channeled and did not follow through on in terms of good governance absolutely played a major role in people looking for an alternative. And I think a lot of people refuse to reckon with that because they just simply see, you know, that he was a black man. And doors open, you know. They don't see the other side of the story. They don't see the impact of like how much the economic conditions motivated people into seeking out an anti-establishment alternative, which ironically enough was a fucking Clinton-aligned rapist billionaire. You know what I mean? An Epstein buddy. But he was, quote unquote, anti-establishment enough, right? That's what Donald Trump was. A way to put a hatchet through the system that had not given these people thought they would receive. I don't know why people refuse to reckon with that. People were demanding a wrecking ball. They didn't get what they wanted. They didn't get what they wanted from Obama. They thought Obama would actually prove to be this hope and change candidate. They didn't get that hope and change. So now they were like, all right, fuck this. I'm looking for something else.
It was basically a math proof that the 1% ruled and the 99% drooled. So unless your dad works for Blackstone or BlackRock, you're fucked. So it's no coincidence that 2 years later, in 2016, the two most popular presidential candidates were people who could credibly claim that they weren't in Wall Street's pockets and would fight for the working class.
Special interests, lobbyists, donors, they make large contributions to politicians and they have total control over those.
When we look back at the game tape of 2015 Donald Trump, by the way, it does harken back to what I was saying as far as like beast mode Barack Obama 2008. Like so much of the current cult, so much of the current Donald Trump cult, the MAGA cult, still are in the cult because of this. They saw this shit and they were like, this is unfucking believable. Okay? Perfect amount of populist rage for them. Perfect amount of racism. A real, he tells it like it is attitude. There's already that dumb guy mentality of, oh, he's a business owner and we got to run America like a business. That's catnip for a lot of American boomers who are stupid. Dumbest idea of all time. Okay? But this shit, people don't understand. Like, this is what a lot of like educated, high propensity voters could not comprehend, where they were like, Hillary Rodham Clinton has the CV. Why the fuck would anybody vote for this baboon? Okay? Why the fuck would anybody vote for this baboon? They were like, because the baboon was saying the truth at times. And he was a very heterodox candidate and also a populist candidate that was perceived to be far more moderate than Hillary Rodham Clinton. Again, people forget.
Politicians, I don't want anybody to control me but the people right out there.
We need a political revolution where millions of people stand up and say loudly and clearly that our government belongs to all of us and not just a handful of wealthy campaign contributors.
Of course, we all know what happened next.
Dude, things could have been so different. Imagine a world where Donald Trump did not win because Bernie won in 2016. The Dems didn't rat fuck him. The media didn't rat fuck him. He was able to overcome great odds and he fucking won. He was the president. 2-term Bernard presidency. I mean, who knows where we would be? A very different timeline, dude. Very different universe. The last 10 years would have been incredible.
Democratic Party backed Hillary Clinton, whose campaign followed the usual playbook, ignoring working class voters and focusing on suburban moderates. That is not a conspiracy theory, okay? Chuck Schumer literally said it out loud 3 months before the election.
For every blue-collar Democrat we will lose in Western PA, we will pick up 2-3 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And you can repeat that in Ohio and Illinois and Wisconsin.
2016 was the year the suburban strategy stopped working. It was the Democrats' worst turnout for union members and rural voters since Walter Mondale in 1984. So that brings us to today, 10 years after 2016, and the Democrats still have not figured out how to win back all those working class people that they lost. Now, I've heard the ideas. We should run DSA candidates. Great. We should shut up about trans rights. Not great. And we need a Joe Rogan of the left. What the fuck does that even mean? But it's clear that there are millions of Americans who still feel politically homeless. A recent poll showed that 43% of Americans are not happy with either party. Honestly, I thought that number would be higher. The way this is always framed by the media is a blue versus red problem. The country has never been more divided.
We've never been more divided.
Our politics have never been more divided.
Our country's never been more divided.
Our country's never been more divided than it is today.
This country has never been more divided.
But there are ways in which the working class is very united. They are united in hating the billionaire psychos running the economy. They are united in their opposition to the Scrooge McDuck corruption in Washington. And now we're seeing the rise of maybe the most energetic, bipartisan working class coalition that we have seen in a generation, who are all saying in unison, fuck AI data centers.
The backlash against AI data centers is growing, with protests from coast to coast in dozens of states today. The issue uniting many Americans across the political divide.
We don't want this. It is not going to benefit us in any way.
We are not going to pay double the amount of our utility bills. Do you understand that?
Of course, since that is the primary motivator of most people across party lines, on the one hand, you got a Republican in Wisconsin presenting himself as being anti-data center to outflank the Democrat who up until recently was running around talking about how much he loves data centers. The reality of the matter, of course, is both of them are in favor of data centers in the exact same way. That's the beauty of politics. And then people fucking wonder why people are tapped out. I wonder how people have such an apathetic perspective to politics in general.
We don't get anything for it other than we're losing land, we're losing water, and we're losing air quality.
Why are you protecting? What are you protecting?
To talk about this more, whose mission statement is building power for the working class. Since 2021, More Perfect Union has been doing on-the-ground reporting focusing on labor unions, inequality, and corporate power. And maybe no other media outlet out there right now is doing more reporting on the backlash to AI data centers. So I sat down with one of their reporters, John Russell, a West Virginia native, someone who has spent years having real conversations with working class voters, trying to genuinely connect with them in good faith. We talked about the bipartisan coalition forming against big tech.
It's a mask-off moment where people can see what side you really are on.
How he connects with people who maybe don't share his politics.
If they know you're coming from a genuine place, you're not trying to hide something, you're being upfront about who you are, that can kind of set the tone for a conversation.
And as someone from Appalachia, I got his take on the vice president. What is your take on J.D. Vance?
Oh, trash. Trash.
I mean, what's everyone's problem with J.D. Vance?
I think I have the best take on this, and also for people to judge. For places like the Appalachian region, when you see a guy like J.D. Vance or Pete Buttigieg roll into your neighborhood, roll into your town, the factory is going to fucking close down. That's what that means. And those guys can clock that inauthenticity. They can clock that consultant speak from a mile away because they've seen J.D. Vance a million times over, okay? Guys like J.D. Vance or guys like people who just come into your fucking town, they're wearing the khakis, you know the fucking factory is shutting down. They're eliminating redundancies.
Other than all the stuff he says and does and is. And of course, his face.
Hurry right away, no delay, stop the day. Make your daddy glad you have had.
West Virginia is one of those states that your hand is a map of it, and it is a middle finger, and it's perfect. So this Litterton Panhandle.
Okay.
You got Maryland down here.
Yeah.
You have Morgantown. So Wheeling's right here. Okay. This is Ohio. Mm-hmm. I grew up here, but it's like Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, all these states, like this area is where like generations of my family's from. The cuts for us there is this place called the Pits. They want to currently build a 3 gigawatt data center on the Pits.
Yeah.
What the Pits is thousands of acres of absentee land like in the hills that for decades, like an outlaw dirt bike culture has taken over.
Oh, shit.
East of the Mississippi, if you want to go crazy off-roading, look this up on the internet.
Yeah.
You go to the Pits outside of Wellsville, Ohio. And it's like there are no rules. Nobody knows who owns the land. It's like a dirt bike gang has taken this over.
So X Games meets the Lost Boys from Peter Pan.
And I'm seeing this like, data centers are uniting left and right.
Yes.
In crazy ways.
Yes.
And I'm watching like everybody I grew up with in high school who I saw like send a dirt bike off a cliff. Like organizing petitions against data centers. And I'm like, there's something to work with here.
Yeah, totally. High school Johnny Knoxville is like, fuck these AI
get
data
these
centers.
out of here, dude. They'll dismantle it.
Okay. One of the things that I love about the videos that you do for More Perfect Union is you actually go out into the field and you do practical reporting. You are not a cable news pundit sitting on a round table.
This guy has one thing that I will never have, and I'm a little bit jealous of it. He can fucking be one with the chud. I will never be able to be one with the chud in the same fucking way that he can. Like, he goes out there, he's from West Virginia, he speaks the language, he's a real chud whisperer, and I wish I could get a fraction of that, you know what I mean? It's the mullet, you need one. No, not even like Andrew Callahan. Andrew Callahan has too much like Seattle anarchist stink on him. No, this is different.
Basically arguing with someone before commercial break.
Yeah.
I want to chat with you. Let's break down a few words that get thrown around in media circles oftentimes. Let's start with rural America.
If you're living in rural America, I think one of the things it's defined by, regardless of where you go, is extraction. Like if you are...
Yeah, you were born in New Jersey, black, white, whatever. If you were born in the Midwest, chud is in your DNA. You can't fake it. Yes. Like, I can only be a studier, a student of the chud. He was born into it, okay? I can only seek to understand the chud. I can never be the chud.
in the middle of the country, like large scale monoculture agriculture, where monopolies are owning all the inputs. That's kind of the economy that you deal with. If you're in the mountains of West Virginia, it's been the extractive industry of coal. That's rural. If it takes a while to drive to go get groceries, rural. You know, there's all these indicators that fall on a spectrum, from, you know, the city center to the suburbs to the exurbs to where it takes a while to get to Walmart, you know. But I would say, you know, the extraction economy is a major theme in like the rural coverage that I do. And that always comes paired with, you know, I think of the coverage we did of West Virginia data centers. Like there's such a push to put these things in communities that have already had most of their wealth taken out of there.
Yeah.
They're used to it. And so the next wave of this wealth extraction is something like data centers. And I think that's a uniting thing.
For the people in my audience,
yeah,
who perhaps have family members that voted for Donald.
For the record, that's how you know this shit is capitalism. White supremacy at the end of the day is simply used as a weapon to divide the working class, and it works. It's very effective. But if white supremacy was the primary force that American society was designed around, they wouldn't be fucking white people so hard in West Virginia. Like that, at the end of the day, you can't overcome that. Like you have to recognize it. It's ironic because white supremacy is the primary force that caused West Virginia and the West Virginia whites to basically live in these dire straits, in these dire circumstances. But if there was any sort of legitimate investment by those in positions of power to prop up white supremacist values as anything but a divisive force to dominate the working class, then these rural whites would not be living in these sorts of circumstances, right? That's what a lot of people fail to comprehend about the like the ultimate purpose of white supremacy serves. It is a tool, okay? It is a tool, okay? But that's a point of connection. Trust when I say white boys in the dirt build crazy dumb shit, like brothers in the city jump shit. We know we shouldn't. Every city kid has jumped a car on a bike. Every country kid has jumped a creek on a rust bucket. Yeah. But even think about that. The perception, the broad perception of, like, here's what's interesting, right? Like, the dirt bike dynamic is so interesting because you go to the fucking urban areas in Philadelphia. What are the youth invested in? Dirt bikes. Okay. You go to rural Appalachia. What are the youth invested in? White kids, dirt bikes. They love dirt biking. They love fucking around with dirt bikes and doing dumb shit with dirt bikes. Sometimes quads as well. But the media perception on the dirt bike equation is like, when black teenagers are doing it, it's crime that must be punished. When white teenagers are doing it in Appalachia, it's still crime, but they just like kind of go, up. Those are boys being boys, right? So it certainly clouds our judgment, or it certainly changes our perception of the same exact thing that we're looking at. But there's two ways of looking at it, which is, you know, you're unified. Yeah. In the city, it's teen takeovers, right? It's black teenagers being rowdy. But ultimately, people want the same shit. They want to be busy. They want hobbies that they can lean into. And the point I will always push for is, once again, if to say that we have not had white supremacy as a you know, fundamental principle in American development, it would be silly. I'm not saying that at all. But to say that that is the ultimate end-all, be-all, the final goal of the American elite class is wrong. There are those who are real believers, right? Elon Musk is one of them, certainly. But not all white folk are treated equally by the white folk that are the elites. And I think the conditions in places like West Virginia resembling Gary, Indiana, shows you that there is still a primary motivation behind this that is more important than like the racial predeterminism demonstrated by, and the racial tribalism demonstrated by white supremacists. I guess the simplest way to look at it is, if white supremacist was the primary focus and it wasn't capitalism, then white neighborhoods in Appalachia wouldn't look the way they do.
Trump and see these people as irredeemable. In your reporting, what would you like them to know?
I think the way that we consume, the way we talk to our family members, first of all, like check where you're coming from, you know, because if you're just trying to defend a political party, I think you got to go deeper than that to rescue people who are a little too far gone. You have to get back to shared values. And there are a lot of people in Trump country that share the value of wanting to hold it. They wanted to hold the Epstein class accountable. That was the whole thing with their base, right? You can get in there and relate on that thing. But if you're just trying to come in and say your party's bad and my party's good, they're prepared for that. And you got to go on values.
I mean, speaking of values, naturally, you lean a little bit more left, right?
Yeah.
How do you unlock people who have more conservative positions than you?
Bro, I'm telling you, Hasan Minhaj asked, you lean a little bit more left there because, again, he looks like a chud so much that you got to check. You got to check. You just got to check every time. You're like, so what's up? You just got to make sure, you know, the little ocular pat down, just want to confirm you're not going to say slurs, right? I'm so jealous. Again, I am so jealous of his chud background. Like I wish I could just for one day be able to hide in the crowd at a fucking state fair or something. You know what I mean? And have people come up to me and be like, "Hell yeah, brother! You see that big ass pig? You know, look at that hog. Oh hell yeah!"
Is it the mullet doing the work? Is it the mustache? Like, what's
it is? Like, it is my.
But you like
it's a little bit of this.
No, you're clearly affable. You genuinely come from a place of curiosity. But what did you find was the way that you connected with people that don't vote like you, or perhaps share the same values that you do?
Well, it does help to look like this, you know. I did find growing up where I did, before I got hired at More Perfect Union, I worked at a dive bar. Shout out to Johnny's Bar. Baby.
Shout out to Johnny's Bar.
And that's where I learned something that helps me in my work all the time.
Let me just be normal. Treat people like people and expect there to be disagreements regardless. And you will be able to unlock so much. That's the major difference is like this dude very clearly grew up in a conservative environment, you know, and worked around conservatives, were around conservatives in general. So of course he's fucking normal. He understands that people on the internet make it seem like you can't have a normal conversation with the craziest Trump hog, right? You can. I do it all the time. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating experience. I do it all the fucking time. And slowly but surely you get to penetrate their consciousness a little bit. Where like one of the things that I've been doing lately, I'll tell you, this is very successful. And this might help with your chud parents, by the way, chatters. I get a lot of Fox News coverage, right? You know what I tell? You know what I tell the MAGA parents and MAGA folk that I talk to? I'm like, you know, and the Democrats hate you and the Republicans hate you. You must be doing something right. After all, you know who else they did this to? Donald Trump. That is fucking catnip, okay? When you tell your MAGA parents, like, yo, look at Fox News coming after him and look at CNN coming after him, and then you remind them, because they were there when Donald Trump in 2015 was getting ass blasted by Fox News and ass blasted by CNN and everybody else. If you hit him with that comparison, they would be like, ooh, that's interesting. Double points for reminding people that happened to Bernie as well. And this is how you win your MAGA parents. Like you can invoke confidence in them. You're right, but it's so fucking stupid. Okay, man, whatever. Okay, Mr. Elitist, who cares? What matters is it works. For your liberal parents, you just show the Fox coverage and that's it. And you go, look at how much Fox is lying about it. For your MAGA parents, you show both the Fox coverage and the CNN coverage and you say, you know who else got hit like this? Trump. This guy must be doing something right. That statement in and of itself holds almost the same level of power as, I want a businessman to run the government like a business. It sounds stupid. It's fucking cringe, but it's effective. Okay.
Time, which is I wear my politics on my sleeve, and I don't try to hide that with people. And I think that if they know you're coming from a genuine place, you're not trying to hide something, you're being upfront about who you are, that can kind of set the tone for a conversation. And that's what I always did in Johnny's Bar. Like before I got hired at More Perfect Union, I was making TikToks about like, we should all join together as people in the same boat here and maybe take back some of our power.
I talk left-wing politics in my small town bar with people mostly whose idea of a leftist is the actual devil.
Was there a moment that inspired you to start making those videos? Like what, not to like hero's journey this, but like what was the inciting incident? What was the moment that made you go like, oh, I want to go to the cesspool that is social media and like talk about politics and perhaps reach out to people that feel unheard?
I think I've always been angry about how this billionaire-owned media lied to the people I grew up with. And I've always believed in the possibility of them.
It does work. My personal testimony is getting my anarchist Trump. Anti-tax, how is that possible? Flat earther uncle to look into your stuff? Hell yeah. Yes, I talked to MAGA folks who cried about Charlie Kirk, and I told them Dems and Republicans both hate you. They said Dems hate you because you're not as radical as them. Lamau, leftism works more for Republicans than moderate Dems, unironically. Why hide? Nothing is stopping you from going to a fair. My black ass went to state fairs. No, I used to do it all the time. I used to go to like the gun shows and stuff like that. It's a little bit different now, don't you think? They fucking plastered my face on Fox News every day for the past 6 months. I don't just want to visit these sorts of places. I want to also be one with the people. And there is 0% chance. Like, I will never be able to go to CPAC. I will never be able to go to a fucking state fair and, ask people about their positions and shit like that and get an honest answer. It's always going to be, unfortunately, revolve around like who I am as a person. Hank Pecker is dead. Mr. Chudface, my whole family is now fascinated with you, bro. They were all MAGA heads before. Let's go.
Joining together with other people who are in the same boat so that we can end some of this suck that we're currently in. And I was like, there's got to be a way to do this. And everyone's on their phone, so why don't we pump out some stuff and see what happens? Maybe suggest, hey, we should all get together on this.
So this idea of joining together, right?
Yeah.
People talk about coalitions all the time. It's something that you've really focused on. A thing that gets talked about in lefty politics is the idea of building coalitions around the working class.
Yeah.
How would you define working class?
Yeah. Anybody who doesn't make their money from owning stocks. Anybody who makes their money from selling labor. Anybody.
Yeah. And if you want to get really down to it, my attitude on it is like, especially given how much pensions no longer exist. So like retirees everybody has a 401k. Then if your yearly net worth increase broadly is coming mostly from your wages, like overwhelming majority of that is coming from your wages as opposed to capital accumulation, then you're still a wage laborer. If over 50% of your money comes straight from your own labor, then you're still working class, in my opinion. Or at least like you're a wage laborer.
Who, like, if you can't call
selling their own labor. No, I know. The reason why of course, the Marxist definition of proletarian is a wage laborer, someone who sells their labor to a boss. What I'm simply saying is that in this day and age, there are a lot of people who are wage laborers, but also have a 401k. Does that mean they're a capital owner? Because technically they're engaging in capital accumulation. That doesn't matter.
Howard Lutnick, you're working class.
Got it.
If something that you say in public moves markets or starts wars, then you might not be working class.
This is the first time I've actually really heard this articulated well this way. You're basically talking about labor that perhaps works for companies. You could work at a grocery store. You could work.
Describe basic Marxian concepts
at a variety of different places. But if you are not part of the equities class, you're part of the working class.
To me, yeah. If you get
That's how he didn't get into dense literature. Notice how he didn't get into dense literature. Another point for being normal. He described it perfectly.
Your money by selling your labor. Most of your money by selling your labor. To me, you're working class. And I think that doesn't strike people because the assumption is like a white guy in a hard hat. A doctor and a lawyer, we kind of separate that in the but I don't think we should.
Like dentist.
Yeah. Working class, man.
And and like dude who bags groceries at Safeway, where I used to work.
Yes.
And I was fired, which is some fucked up shit.
You got to tell me.
I thought I was a pretty good employee. I just didn't want to work there, but I did work.
I'm on your side.
I thought I did. I thought I was decent. I didn't want to.
What'd you do at
heart.
Safeway?
I was a courtesy clerk.
Okay.
Which is I bag groceries.
Yeah.
And
essential work.
Yeah, essential work. And shout out to my boy who got me the position. I still owe you a huge thank you. Shout out to Chris. Thank you for getting me that job.
Way to go, Chris.
I fucked it up. It wasn't, and you vouched for me, and I fucked it up, and I still live with that. But me and Chris are boys. Let me get us back on track.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically saying, hey, my cousin who's a dentist, and plumber.
Was this recent?
There's a connection here.
Yeah, and I think we need to update that now.
Yeah, it just came out. I read it as soon as it came out. But yeah, it's recent from Wall Street Journal.
Because you look at the scale of wealth in America, and we have a trillionaire.
Mm-hmm.
We have a trillionaire. We have close to 1,000 people with $1 billion. You know, for me, I'm always trying to get people to think about the difference between 1 million and 1 billion.
Yeah.
1 million seconds is 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 32 years.
Holy shit.
1 trillion seconds is 32,000 years. We have a trillionaire, man. And you think like being a dentist is closer to being the guy with $1 trillion than it is the working class now. It's like to me, in America right now, with wealth inequality as bad as it is, you're all working class. Now, that's not to like flatten the difference between a lawyer and someone bagging groceries. There are differences there. But for the purposes of fixing our problems, which I view as mostly being caused by people with too much money and power making all the decisions, we are all working class.
Politicians always use this phrase, we want good working class jobs.
Yeah.
And they always phrase it like people love their jobs.
Yeah.
Suck.
Yeah.
I've done food service. I've worked at grocery stores. I've worked at Office Max, selling printers. All my jobs that I've had outside of comedy pretty much suck.
Does comedy
I like. I mean, I'm lucky enough to do what I'm passionate about.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel that way too.
But every other job that I had fucking sucks.
I was a stump grinder for 7 years.
Shit. Yeah. Yeah. That takes the cake. I don't even know what that is.
you have like a giant diesel machine and then you blast a tree stump into dust. 7 years.
But why do you have to do that though?
It was good money.
No, but people wanted there's like that stump needs to go.
You'd be surprised at the amount of stumps in America. So like, here's the thing.
That's so funny that Hasan Minhaj is, I guess, such a city boy, as though they don't have that in cities. What do you mean? Of course, man. It fucks up the sidewalk. There's still roots in there. Yeah, you got to take the stump out. It's not just about like chopping the tree down. You got roots. Coastal elite spotted, but like low key, not even, because I mean, I'm a coastal elite, and cities have trees in them.
And like,
yeah, it fucks up your septic tank. That's another thing that it's because Hasan Minhaj is in New York, so he probably doesn't. Actually, I don't know where he lives, but I was gonna say maybe he doesn't own a home, but he probably does. Yeah, he grew up in Davis, California, surrounded by trees. You should know that. Yeah, his father probably owns a home in Davis, California. How do you not know? That's crazy. Root removal is different, you fucking city fools.
Are you a homeowner?
I own a home, yes.
Okay, a yard of any kind.
We have a yard. We have a front yard. Yeah.
I don't know the situation in New York City, but like if you're owning a yard out there, if you're renting a yard,
sure,
you'll end up with a tree stump in your yard, and then people will go try to like set it on fire or drill holes in it or like dig it out. There's no better way to get it out than blasting it out with a diesel machine and someone like me.
Got it. Children must have loved you. Like my son, what you just described, he's 6.
It's very Bob the Builder.
Yeah, he would have fucking loved that. Yeah.
Most of my demographic is just, children enthralled by machines.
Gotcha. To get us back on point, what I'm saying is we don't need to romanticize jobs per se.
Yeah.
But what I think we need to focus on is common human dignity.
Yeah.
And the way people are compensated for their labor gives them the dignity to provide for their families, pay for healthcare, send their children to school.
Totally.
If a loved one gets sick, take care of them. Get the bag, take care of grandma, be able to look out for my mom and dad, my sister. If someone's in a bind, I can help them.
I can see that on the bumper sticker right now. Like, get the bag, take care of grandma. like and chill.
Yeah. Be able to help my sister out if something bad happens. Yes.
Grandma chill. One of the great things about my job right now is I get to kind of drop into locations and see how things are going there. We did a piece in Italy about worker-owned cooperatives. Because not only do I think we should stop like romanticizing jobs, but we should think about how jobs are organized. Because we're used to one way here in America where most of them suck.
Yes.
And
what's it like in Italy?
So we did a story where like a fifth of the economy in this region of Italy, in northern Italy, comes from companies that are owned by the people who work there. This and I remember we were standing on the floor.
Wait, how does that work?
Okay, so the workers own the company. They can hire and fire their...
Dude, this is like 2016 peak Richard Wolfism, okay? It's so pro-anarcho syndicalism. This is 2016 era Richard Wolfism right here. Through and fucking through, okay? Mondragon is the Spanish one, sorry. This is Emilia-Romagna region in Italy.
Boss. And like...
Wait, is this like the way the Green Bay Packers are owned by the city or whatever? I never understood this concept.
Yes.
Yeah, it's only actual existing socialism if it comes from the Mondragon region of Spain. Yeah, like Champagne only comes from one region.
Okay, so break this down for me. Please make me understand.
Now I can't say...
Yeah, democracy at work. Democracy at work. We have democracy in government, but the workplace is built with unjustifiable hierarchies. It's like a tyranny. Your boss gets to tell you what to do. Your boss gets to tell you what to do, where to do it. And you spend 80% of your adult life in this undemocratic process. Workplace is like a dictatorship.
I don't know the details of the Packers, but basically a cooperative, right?
Okay.
This is a company like any company you would work for, but instead of being owned by one guy and shareholders and a board, the workers are the shareholders, the board, and they make the decisions to run the company. You can hire somebody to be CEO, and you can also fire them. And it was mind-blowing to me to go over as an American to Italy. Stand on the floor of a factory where 2,000 people worked, just like the ones that closed down after NAFTA in the Ohio Valley where I'm from. They got a 2,000 person factory. It's doing manufacturing. It's owned by the workers. And I'm standing there with the boss of the company and 3 workers. And I asked the workers, what would you do if your boss made 300 times more than you make? And they were like, we would fire him. The workers are highly paid. They work in manufacturing. They control who runs the company. They make the products, and then they go sip espresso at 4 p.m. and be reasonable.
Yeah.
There are different ways to do jobs.
No, but what's the catch here? Like the way you're describing it, I was like, no, there's a catch though. What's the catch?
There's, nothing's perfect.
Okay. How long do you have to work there to be able to vote? Or the moment day one, you're essentially on the quote unquote board?
So this would be a plug to watch the video because we had a worker who had just joined all the way up to somebody who'd been there a long time. First of all, you have far less turnover. You have far more expertise.
Sure. Yeah. You've incentivized staying there.
Yeah. And there's a clear path from the guy we were talking to who's 20 years old to spend a short amount of time and become, a worker owner.
Would you say kind of the core tenets of the videos that you work on for More Perfect Union, are they essentially about labor solidarity?
Yeah. It's about strength in numbers. It's about solidarity. It's about different ways to organize the economy and work.
One of the things I hear in media reporting all the time is, here is how the Democratic Party abandoned the working class.
Yeah.
A couple of my favorite criticisms from the left, it's like, well, these companies still rely on outsourced labor from the third world. Okay, dude. Sorry that the fucking workers' cooperative in Italy didn't destroy imperialism, like Western imperialism, single-handedly. And then from the right, the criticism always is, well, cooperatives can exist under capitalism. Why can't capitalist corporations exist under socialism? It's awesome. The point is, who the fuck would democratically organize to be like, yeah, no, we want a king.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, that makes me think of
yet you still live in a society take. That's exactly what it is.
Elliott County. We did a piece for More Perfect Union.
Yes.
And
this was the Emmy award-winning piece that you made about it.
Yeah, we won 2 Emmys. And shout out to the whole team at More Perfect Union. Like any video that I'm on, there's a whole team behind that. Josh Hirschfeld-Crowan, Meg Hirschline, Faz, Josh Miller-Lewis. Will go down the whole list. It'd take too long. But Elliott County is the only county in America, this is Eastern Kentucky, it's the only county in America that voted 144 years in a row for Democrats before flipping to Trump by one of the largest margins.
Talk about fumbling the bag there.
They fumbled the bag.
144 years, you're running it up. And then to flip your entire base.
But here's to your question. I would say the Democratic Party was responsible for fumbling that bag, because what we found there, of course, a lot of people who voted for Democrats forever and then flipped to Trump. But you can trace through the history of the Democratic Party. It used to be very much FDR to, Bill Clinton and corporate donors and the Democratic Party that we know today, that we see in a fight with these primaries, in a real contest for the direction, like someone like Zohran Mamdani or more of what we've been used to. It is the FDR Labor Party that kept places like rural Kentucky voting for it forever, because they knew the deal. You vote for Democrats because they're for the working man. But eventually they lost those roots, and we suffered a pretty large consequence for that of people.
In your reporting, what specifically did the Democratic Party do to betray the working class that made people say, fuck it, I'm changing my vote?
Yeah. Well, I target the Democratic Party a lot, but this really counts for both parties in our politics on the whole.
Sure.
But they just got, we, over the course of getting thousands of billionaires now, both of our parties have just switched to exclusively serving their agenda. I think about this report that came out more than a decade ago from Princeton, I think, where it's like, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. The conclusion of this report was that the American people have little to no control over the policies passed by either party or either administration. So I think you can say about the Republicans that they've always been for corporate control and for the agenda of really large money. But for the long time, you could say that less about the Democrats. And then they started, going for NAFTA and free trade. And in the era of Citizens United, they're relying on corporate donations too much. And you let that happen for years.
Well, aside from corporate donations, is stupidity also a part of it? Because there's this clip of Chuck Schumer from 2016 where he's talking about the Democratic Party's sort of national strategy. And I think about this at least twice a week. Let's take a look.
For every blue-collar Democrat we will lose in Western PA, we will pick up 2-3 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And you can repeat that in Ohio and Illinois and Wisconsin.
This is my sleep paralysis demon. That's actually on a loop in my nightmares.
Oh, got it.
I've watched it many times.
That's your Freddy Krueger?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, got it.
It is. Yeah, I wake up in a cold sweat every night, and it's Chuck Schumer just selling us out. I think, right there you can see the strategy of trying to go after suburban, wine moms and such. And I think that is because they really lost their roots, right? And they're trying to reconstruct a base that is that goes well and doesn't offend corporate donors. So they say let's try to hunt for that base in the suburbs of all these cities, because those people will kind of get on a cultural agenda that doesn't offend our donors.
Right.
All these major corporations can slap a pride flag onto a pretty terrible agenda, but not really be there to stand up for policies that represent people.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think there hasn't been a change from that strategy. I mean, Schumer still leads the party.
This is the thing I cannot understand. How is that possible?
There's no gravity. There's no consequences.
Kolkata Chai has brand new tea bags. It is so easy. I literally...
Nah çekti.
Very unique has happened over the past 30 years where a disproportionate amount of power and capital has been allocated to two different things. And I call it more broadly tech and Wall Street.
Yeah.
The amount sort of both political capital and capital, those two buckets have.
Yeah.
There is a particular LinkedIn class that is connected to both tech and Wall Street.
Yeah.
And
And now
push
tech
the
is
buttons.
Wall Street.
Yes.
Look at the 7 companies that are driving the S&P 500 growth. And it's all these it's Silicon Valley now.
Correct.
And then that shows up in the areas where I grew up with the physical infrastructure of data centers. And right now, that was one vision of putting together a political coalition that we know fails now.
Yes.
But when you have Wall Street and tech building out these data centers in all of the places where the Democrats lost.
Loomer delighted that Neera Tanden is sharing her post with insane tropes in them. Apparently, the Democrats are fighting amongst themselves because some of them are sharing my post about how toxic the Islamic communists are. The Islamic communists say those Democrats are Loomer Democrats. Shout out to my Loomer Democrats who understand you can't be a progressive while supporting the biggest patriarchy of all, Islam. That's awesome. Yeah, no, Neera Tanden is a Loomer Democrat. It's true. And Laura Loomer is now delighted that Neera Tanden is sharing her post with the insane tropes in them. Like, Neera Tanden literally shared a post where Laura Loomer suggested that I was doing Islamic taqiyya, which she called ninja taqiyya. Like, I just, it's so insane. Like, can you imagine if I did that for Neera Tanden? Like, if someone was like saying horrifyingly racist shit about like Indian people and I retweeted it about Neera Tanden, what do you think Neera Tanden would do? First of all, she would be on CNN the next morning being like, Hasan Piker is the biggest racist in the United States of America. He's a Klansman. She'd be on Fox News. She'd be on CNN. She'd be on MS Now talking about how I'm the biggest racist on the planet. She can get to retweet MAGA's biggest fucking psycho, Laura Loomer, saying that I'm like doing ninja taqiyya, like hiding as a Muslim. Yeah, Neera hyping the taqiyya trope is reminding me of two things. One, it was popularized in the U.S. as a way to suggest that Obama was a secret Muslim. Two, Tanden was the deputy campaign manager of 2008 when it was accused of spreading rumors that Obama was a secret Muslim. Yeah, like what do we have? It actually is crazy. She's consistent. No, I just like we can't have anything. Like there's no progressive movement. There's no liberalism if like the top liberal is doing shit like this. It's actually psychotic. Board of the most prominent, supposedly progressive liberal think tank in Washington, D.C.
Lost. I am seeing a coalition of people coming together that is right and left, saying no to big tech, no to flock cameras. And if the Democrats don't pay attention to that and realize that there is a coalition right there in the places you have lost, but you got to take a stand against the corporate donation, against corporate donors, against tech. It's right there for the taking.
That is the strange Venn diagram that I have seen where both left and right, it can be hardcore red, hardcore blue. Both sides are equally like, fuck AI data centers.
Yeah.
Based on your reporting, what is that? What is this huge middle finger to these, essentially these big ass server racks that suck up all this water?
There's no other issue where the mask has been completely off and the agenda of these companies is totally visible. I'll give another example from coverage with More Perfect Union.
Yes.
We go to cover a data center proposal going into Mingo County, West Virginia, Mingo and Logan County.
Yes.
These are the coal fields. They are used to big companies coming in, taking all the wealth and leaving a mess. In the process of shooting that.
We've already called their entire initial list crazy work. Hell yeah. Let's keep pumping those numbers. Time to smile and dial again. Smile and redial, baby.
We spoke to a woman in a minivan pulled over on the side of the road with a big 5-gallon jug, getting water out of a pipe coming out of a mountain. And that is the only drinking water. She comes there 3 times a week to get drinking water for her family.
Do you see what I mean, by the way, when going back to the previous point that I was making about like white people living like this? I mean, it's so wild because like half of the white people that voted for this literally voted because they were voting in an anti-black manner, ironically enough. But like they're living in third world conditions too. Is actually insane. This is a first world country. This is supposed to be a first world country. It's supposed to be a developed nation.
That's how she gets drinking water in the coal fields of West Virginia. They want to stick a data center there and say, hey, you go get your water out of a mountain. We're going to give all the clean water that you've been denied for decades to a data center. It's a mask off moment where people can see what side you really are on.
I also think it's the first time we've seen technology be presented in such a way where people are like, no, I get how AI makes you rich.
Yeah.
How the fuck does this make me rich?
Yeah. That's the other thing about it, man. It's
Are you or are you not white today? Buddy, look at me. Look at my face. What do you think? You know, this is not something that I can run away from, right? Like, it's just, I look the way I look. I am white. I got fucking freckles on my face, motherfucker. I tell people I'm white all the time. I cannot believe that so many sweaty fucking losers constantly are like, Hasan, he's white one day and not white the next day. I am white, motherfucker. I'm white. But I'm also Muslim. It's you that doesn't think Islam and white is compatible. That's the problem. You are fucking, see, you're doing it. You're doing it. You literally did it. Look, Hasan from Turkey, ... Okay. These racist cocksucker motherfuckers, bro. I swear to God, they literally will be like, oh, he's a racial chameleon. One day he says he's white. The next day he says he's brown. It's like, no, I just say I'm white. You don't think so. You don't think so. Many other people disagree with you. I'm not white and you're in denial. Okay, buddy. What am I supposed to do? Run around and be like, I'm a brown man. I'm a brown man in America. That would be fucking ridiculous, right? That'd be fucking ridiculous. I'd look like a psycho. Can you imagine if I ran around being like, I'm a brown man in America. I know what it's like. That'd be so funny if I just...
Like, you know, I see people like, oh, well, right? Yeah. They come to areas where they already made a mess, where people are desperate for jobs. And a lot of people will say like, hey, we need these jobs. But AI data centers are literally a job-killing supercomputer.
Totally.
That's what it does.
Yeah.
That's how they sell it on Wall Street. And people know this. There's no jobs in there, man.
So if you're a grocery store worker, you work at a fast food company, if you even do clerical work at your local school or dentist's office, here's my question.
Yeah.
And you're reporting, right? You're speaking with all these Trump voters, but if you do you remember the inauguration?
Yeah.
Essentially, the FANG stocks were right behind him.
Right there.
And you would think the way Donald Trump positioned himself, it would be like, cowboy hat, no shade to you, mullet, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, like he would have signaled, like, hey,
here you are.
Yeah, behind me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm America's team. But he basically had the top 10 companies in the S&P 500.
Yeah, like
right
Elon Musk is like tweaking out on ketamine.
Sure.
Zuckerberg, 1,000-yard stare.
But
just weird.
But the head of Apple, the head of Amazon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Tim Apple.
And so Tim Apple. But my question is that when you talk to the people that voted for Donald Trump and they watched the inauguration, that scene signaled something to me. What did that scene signal to them in your reporting?
Well, that's the thing that a lot of people assume. A lot of people assume that doesn't land with Trump voters. It absolutely does. But for it to mean anything politically, you have to have a political movement that's pointing that out. That says, there they are on his side, and here I am on your side.
Yeah.
Is the Democratic Party doing that? Or are they kind of trying to hold on to this coalition that's now lost umpteen elections and avoiding taking a stand against the people who are standing behind Donald Trump? I think you have to draw it in a line in the sand. But thankfully now we've seen a movement of that happening. I mean, you have Zohran Mamdani winning in New York City, but it's not only that, but now we see candidates from that model succeeding everywhere. Michigan, Colorado. And I think that can succeed everywhere. And, something that's been less examined is the fact that there are little blue cities all over red states where you can make government deliver for people, where you can take back some of the public sphere and say, you can expect excellent public services. And we're also going to take a stand against data centers and flock cameras coming into town. And I think that would sweep Huntington, West Virginia, Wheeling, West Virginia, little towns all across this country. And, that's something haven't seen a wave of it happening, but I think it's possible.
So I got a question for you. I don't have the answer to it, but there's two states that
Me neither.
are Hey, look, join me, man.
Yeah, please.
Well, there's two states that I don't fully get, but I'd love your analysis on. If you look at two states, there's North Carolina and there's Kentucky. Those are two states where the governor will be Democrat, but the state voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
What do you think's happening there?
Yeah, I can relate that back to covering Elliott County in Kentucky, because Andy Beshear At the same time that Elliott County voted, that's 144 years for Democrats, then Donald Trump.
Why
Same
are
time
you
they
a
voted for Donald
terrorist?
Trump.
I am not a member of the Israeli occupying forces. You must have gotten it's a classic mistake. People do this all the time. They think I'm a part of the IOF. I'm not, so.
They also voted for Andy Bashir.
That Kentucky Governor Andy Bashir, a Democrat, has been reelected.
Wrong
This is
stream,
a
buddy.
Very
Wrong stream.
significant win for Democrats. Bashir, who ran as a defender of abortion rights in a largely Republican Commonwealth, Kentucky, is defeating Republican attorney.
How come you say Iranians are brown but Turks are white? Really curious, not trying to be a dick. Brother, not every Turk is white. Look at my uncle, bro. Would you say Cenk is white? No, of course not. I'm just saying I'm white because I fucking look white. What do you mean? Why is this such a fucking sore spot for so many people? Like, look at him. That's my motherfucking uncle. Okay? Why is Cenk not white? Because he's fat? Yeah, that's why. That's crazy. I actually did kind of consider Cenk white. I mean, I guess just a very tan white, I guess. I'm a simple man. I look at your skin color. That's it. Like, to me, his skin color is brown. Mine is white. It doesn't mean anything. It's just like, he could pass. He could say he's white. And I don't think that would be that crazy. But if I said I'm brown, people are going to be like, the fuck are you talking about? Do you see what I mean? How is Abdul brown then? Dog. Really? Like, he's Egyptian, brother. What are you talking about? He's not even Lebanese. Like, if you're Lebanese, you can at least get away with it. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't know. Maybe I see something different. What is this discourse? Hasan, why do you hate brown people? Man, having this conversation with a majority white chat is painful. True. One episode of Aşk-ı Memnu is going to break their brain. Selçuk Yöntem and Kıvanç Tatlıtuğ, both Turkish, would be insane for them. Yeah, because the Ottoman Empire was a fucking very diverse empire, okay? It spanned across many regions. So there's like blonde Turks, there's brown Turks, you know what I mean? There's like Turkish people, there's a whole range of different ethnicities and different races if you want to break it down to haplogroups. HasanAbi looking mad biracial today. Okay. The real truth that no one wants to recognize is that Turks are Asian. That's right. Technically, my people are from the Asian steppe. That's what the real truth is. Like my cousin, you guys might have seen him before. Like he has like Crimean Tatar, like way more in his ancestry. So he straight up, my first cousin, he looks way more Asian than I do. He's got what's it called with the eyes? Like he got is it monolid? Like his eyes are way more like the folds, he got epicanthic folds. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, Turks are the OG Wasians if you really want to think about it like that. We're the OG, we are the Wasian Gattaca. Going back to what I was talking about yesterday, Wasian Gattaca with Wasian characteristics versus Lusotropicalism. Turks are the actual original Wasian Gattaca archetype. Maybe the Great Wall was to keep the Turks out? No, literally, wait, what? That is why. That's not chatter. That's yes. That is why the Great Wall of China was built. It's not even that's funny. Anyway.
Attorney General Daniel Cameron.
Now, some people will point at Bashir and say, that's the way to go. That's the way to win. But I think it's important to also realize.
Bro, people think when I say Turks, look. Turkic is different than Turkish, okay? I am Turkish and also Turkic at the same time. Turks is, it's like, Turkmenistan, like all the way to Xinjiang. Those are technically Turkic people. The Uyghurs in Xinjiang, they are Turkic people. Azerbaijan, all of this, like these are Turkic peoples. Same ancestors. Did I tune into the race channel? I mean, this information is utterly irrelevant. It's not you know, I'm not saying that I'm not like a Panturanist or anything. I'm just telling you history. It doesn't mean anything. It's irrelevant information, but
Scheer is losing those counties just at a slower.
Yeah, Siberia and Russia's are more Wasian than Turks. Yes, 100%. I mean, technically, Kazakhstan is the most like Wasian place on the planet, pretty much.
Pace. So he's being better than other Democrats on this. But to really start winning those back, you know, I think it comes down to taking a clear stand for working people and on an agenda that delivers and holding.
Chat, another vote for Oliver locked in. I think the British accent helps. Junior Hussein from England. That's crazy. You're just buttering up. You're just buttering up the Floridians with your British accent. Nice.
The corporate bad actors accountable. Thankfully, that's good.
Vote for Oliver in it, mate. Fucking hell. You know, it's Tuesday is when the election is coming up. Yeah. All right, then. Fucking hell. Give it a go. Can I fancy you for a cup of tea and a little vote? Little vote for Oliver, like Oliver Twist in it. Wrong accent. No, in my mind, I'm imagining you talking like that. Vote for Ollie, eh? Can I get a fucking Ollie, oi, oi, oi? Have you voted, cunt? All right.
Going to be a lot easier to do because now you have this data center push going everywhere. It's an easy stand to take.
So I want to get to, you did this great piece with Bernie Sanders where you actually took him and you had to meet different Trump voters. But here's the thing that I can't understand. I totally get, hey, the Democrats have abandoned us.
Yeah.
But the thing that I don't get is like, but this guy?
Yeah.
Like, billionaire Scrooge McDuck. I'm only out for myself.
Yeah, see? Turkic languages. Legit map of the Ottoman Empire? No, this is an Ottoman Empire. This is where the Turks originated from, okay? This area. The fuck is this, man? I don't want to fucking get a Reddit account. And then they went all the way into Anatolia. What's so funny is this discourse layered on top of the Turkish white Turk terminology, which was basically invented to talk about people like Hasan lol. He cops to both, which, like, respect.
Donald J. Trump. Yeah. That's the guy. Because if you think about what even he's doing.
Yeah.
Cutting Medicare, cutting Medicaid. How is that in interest of workers?
Yeah. And that's also something that people get very angry about. You know, I run into Trump voters all the time.
Just convince the young pro-Israel progressive to vote for Oliver for his domestic policies. Let's go. Let's go. Numbers. Get those numbers up.
Who will tell me, like, it's not right to cut our Medicaid down here. They get very angry about these things like disability and Medicaid, Social Security, things that people rely on. They know when those things get cut and they're very angry about it, but you have to have somebody standing up on that. The other thing is, it goes back to the media takeover.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can sit here and look at Donald Trump and say, I can't believe you'd be voting for this guy, but you have to be in the media bubble that a lot of people are to realize they're just overwhelming it with culture war issues to keep people divided. And that's what you have to break through in order to make any kind of change. And I know you've spent a lot of time in the, you know, Fox media bubble. Have you like turned on Fox News and watched it lately?
I can't, bro.
Yeah,
no, I can't.
It's crazy.
No, but I want to focus on what you were talking about, which is
soft.
There are these moments of unity
I do it every
that
day.
People aren't focusing on. And I want to focus on one moment from your Elliott County interviews that you were doing. This is a video where you're talking to a Trump voter about immigration. Let's take a look.
Mm-hmm. When it's people coming across the border versus, say, billionaires or something like that, who's got the most influence over the problems that you think we face as a country?
Millionaires.
Yeah.
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 Do you think you have more in common with a migrant from Mexico or Donald J. Trump?
Great question.
A migrant from Mexico.
Yeah.
A migrant from Mexico. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're out here working to survive to feed our family.
So she straight up sounds like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
How common do you think this perspective is amongst the Trump voters that you've interviewed in your report?
See it all the time. And that was Nehemiah Stark behind the camera who asked that question, and it was key. But I see that all the time. Also in Elliott County, there's a Mexican restaurant in town. And it is 99% white in that county. People love the Mexican restaurant. One of the things I'll do is, I ask in that piece, what's the top issue for you? People will say the border. We're in Kentucky, thousands of miles away from the border. And that's only been a priority for like 2 years. But if you go and say, okay, the border is a problem, why don't we start by kicking out the guy who runs the Mexican restaurant in town? The answer you always get is no, not that guy. He's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about everybody else who's doing crime and fraud and all of this. But those are boogeymen that are made up by the media that are keeping those people voting in a way that serves the folks who own the media that's filling their head with lies.
Yeah, I mean, so this happens all the time. And I've had this conversation with people all the time as well. When I had to go do field pieces for The Daily Show, cover different conventions. But I've told people this before, and sometimes there's an overlap and sometimes these are two different things, which is there's ignorant people and then there's like bigots and racists.
Yes.
Sometimes it's both.
Yep.
Sometimes they're both ignorant and they're bigoted. But sometimes it's just an ignorance thing.
Yes. I think that's the biggest bucket there is ignorance. But that's something that you can unwind ignorance. It's not going to be easy.
So one time I went to the Republican National Convention. This is when the Muslim ban was happening. Okay, this was in the zeitgeist.
Yes.
So I did this field piece. It was basically it was called like Hasan's Goodbye Tour. So I basically went to the delegates from every state, and I'm like, hey, you're the delegate from Montana. Tell me what Big Sky Country's like. And he's like, Big Sky Country's great. Da 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 da. You should go to Yellowstone Park. And I'm like, oh, I'd love to go to Yellowstone. I can't. Why? The guy you're voting for wants to ban Muslims from the country. And then he was like, Hasan's Goodbye Tour, right? And then I hug them. I'm like, goodbye from Montana or whatever. So that's the joke.
Sweating right now.
That was the joke. But I met this very lovely lady. We have the tape. We can play the tape.
That sucks. Hey, we got a new list. Nice.
We
got to get those numbers up, chat. We got to get those numbers up. We've made more than 30,000 calls so far. We're going through the list fast as fuck. Okay.
Not going to happen. Donald Trump's not going to do that to you. Mm-hmm. You're one of the good ones. And I was like, you're one of the good ones too. And then we hugged. But
just had the most lovely conversation with an older voter on the Oliver phone bank. It was leaning Moskowitz, but is now going for Oliver after hearing he's a union organizer and a Bernie guy. Let's go.
That is a part of my larger point, which is there's a group of people that I feel there's a chasm in between these two things. There is this MS-13 Taliban boogeyman that they see in the media, and then there's their day-to-day neighbor. There is their Latino colleague at work. There's the Muslim dentist that works in town. There's the Bengali cardiologist that they are getting a heart exam for with. But let me ask you this: there is this narrative within media circles that the Republican Party in the current MAGA movement is a white Christian nationalism movement.
Yeah.
In all the states that you go to, do you see them as part of this movement, or is it not about that for them?
It's a big country. I'm sure there are parts where it's like anything else. There are parts for which that is true, but that's not my experience on the whole. One of the things that I think is so interesting to that population of people, I try to have revealing conversations with Republican voters. And I try to point out that, hey, you might be rooting for what ICE is doing right now, but be careful because you might find out that this standing force is also for you later on down the line. And I think
how do you make that connection though?
Right now,
he just looks like that. This plays a big role, I think. Because when I say that shit, they go, shut the fuck up. The mullet, on the other hand, he comes in there. He's like, I'm from this neighborhood. They're coming for all of us. They go, all right, this is not a city boy. I'm too coastal elite.
You have NSPM 7. You have Rubio.
Yeah, he does have the don't tread on me aura. He does.
Going out there and putting people's name on a list. And what they're doing is saying anybody who does these things, they're part of the far left that we have to root out.
Yeah.
Who's a threat to America.
Wait, just so our audience knows, what is NSPM 7?
It's National Presidential Security Memorandum 7.
Okay, because the way you said it so fast, it was like,
yeah, I'm deep in the weeds
I was like, he just said a K-pop group, and I have to nod along to act like I know, but I don't know. But I don't know, so I just wanted to be like, because I didn't know
on TikTok.
Yeah, I didn't know Huntrix for a long time, and then my daughter was like, "You don't know who Huntrix is?" And I was like, "Oh fuck, I haven't seen K-pop
I have
Demon
no
Hunters."
clue who that is.
Yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters movie on Netflix. If you have children or daughters, they're super into it. Anyways,
this is much more sinister and worrying.
Hey,
nefarious.
Hey, no, hey, they're fighting demons, just so you know.
Okay,
which is super fucked up too. ICE and some of the demons that they're fighting, but all the demons aren't bad. Anyways, I'm going on one of my tangents again. Back to you. NSPM 7 is what?
This is a presidential memorandum that directs the full weight of law enforcement in the United States towards targets for enforcement, and they list out some of those targets, and they all have that kind of under the umbrella of this far left threat.
Attorney General Pam Bondi's ordered the FBI to compile a list of what the Justice Department is calling domestic terrorist organizations.
And one of the buckets of people in this memorandum is folks who are anti-big tech. So if you are a Republican going out and say you get a crazy idea and you cut down a flock camera, there's all kinds of news stories out there of people doing that with thousands of comments of people cheering them on. And maybe you're a Republican in doing that.
This is what's left of a flock camera here on Claremont Avenue. It's one of several investigators say were targeted by vandals.
Houston police say they're investigating as Eyewitness News now has found at least half a dozen flock cameras destroyed across the city this week.
A man has been arrested for damaging close to a dozen flock cameras in the city of Suffolk.
What you might not realize is that you just landed yourself on the far left terrorist list, according to NSPM 7. And this standing force that is totally unaccountable, that has murdered Americans, ICE.
Yeah, here's how you tie this shit back to, stuff that Republicans care about. Being anti-data center. Being anti-data center is considered terrorism. So at this point, it's like literally anyone and everyone that isn't like an Epstein affiliate is a terrorist. And as a matter of fact, if you're anti-Epstein class, you're also a terrorist.
You might find yourself on that list eventually if you are standing up against the priorities of big tech, big capital, and the people that they elect.
Just so our audience understands what this is, what is a flock camera?
That is one of these surveillance cameras. It's a corporation called Flock putting them out. They have.
The problem that I have with this stuff is that, like, license plate readers have existed, CCTV has existed. The issue is this is a violation of the Fourth Amendment, okay? It's normal to have some level of surveillance in public areas. What's not normal is that you now have this round-the-clock surveillance in the hands of a private company. You can't do that. That's the problem. It's ridiculous.
Have blown up all over the country, thousands, in a very short amount of time. And they read license plates and they are able to put that in and track your larger movements, know where you're going, know if your car is getting hot. They know all kinds of stuff about you by simply putting these cameras up. Small towns, big cities. It's a massive expansion of the surveillance state, which is already too powerful, in my opinion. And furthermore, that's kind of backed up by all of this artificial intelligence infrastructure.
Fourth Amendment only applies to government actions. Dog, what do you think the flock cameras are for? The private company, but it's also for public. It's for the government. It's for ICE. It's for cops. That's what they use it for.
Right? It's a huge privacy and security issue.
Yeah, no. This is some George Orwellian
It's
1984
very
level
Orwellian.
shit. Yeah.
And if you are a Republican and you go out there and you really resist that, you might find yourself on the wrong side of the security state with all the other leftists that ICE is supposed to be rounding up, etc.
In your reporting, when you went and you interviewed all sorts of different people, did you find that they all, in addition to AI data centers, they were also like, fuck these flock cameras?
Oh, yeah.
Or did they think that, like, no, Big Brother is going to keep me safe and these flock cameras are going to find MS-13?
From where I am, I would say people are against these flock cameras.
Understood. In your most popular video from More Perfect Union, you took Bernie Sanders around your home state, West Virginia, to talk to voters. That state was blue for 80 years and is now the second reddest in the country.
Yeah.
I want to show a clip from that video of Bernie talking to a Trump voter about healthcare as a human right. Let's take a look.
You're so reasonable. Like they've painted you in a bad light, and it actually makes me very angry because, you know, you see things and you believe it. I'll just be honest, I haven't really seen you talk before. I haven't really I don't follow politics that much. And so the last couple days before this, I started watching some of your speeches and I started watching your interviews, and I was shocked. I was like, oh.
Not as bad as they had told you, huh?
This is not how he's portrayed in the media.
Yeah, there you go. You know, you meet people face to face.
Damn, y'all are catalog. Okay, bro, chill. That's literally, what do you think? What do you think my experiences look like in the normal real world with people? That's my point. It's the fucking media. It's social media. There is so much in the algorithm that is like actively working at the best of corporations to make any critic or any enemy of corporations or big center of power look like a fucking villain. That's it. Think about why people don't see what we see with Bernie Sanders, or don't see what we see, or didn't see what we see with Zoran, because Zoran is like broadly pretty popular. Maybe not in the rest of the country. Or better example, don't see what we see with Abdul. It's because their first interaction with these people is unbelievably negative. And it's not negative because these are bad people. It's not negative because these people are pushing bad ideas. It's just specifically bastardized. I mean, look at this. Here, let's take a look.